Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please continue to support me because I really have been appreciating it. It's really been really helpful, I have to say, for other people as well, because they've messaged me and told me, and that makes me feel like what I'm doing is worth it, like it's worthwhile, and I'm very thankful to you all for continuing to support me. So thank you very much. So I'm going to get straight into it today. Today's video is called bath times, dinner times, and bedtimes. So there was a time, I'm going to talk about bath times first. There was a time when I would say Deshaun was about 3 or 4. It was before that, but I'm just speaking for 3 or 4, okay? When he would not have a bath at all. He hated it. Bless him. It was all to do with his sensories. Their sensories are heightened in every which way. Okay. Sensories is like their touch, what's on them as well, whatever they're wearing, material wise or stuff, or feeling of stuff, what it feels like to them is always heightened for autistic children, as well, with like sounds and stuff. Everything is times 100, you know what I mean? So he would have a meltdown the moment I was running the bath water. No word of a lie. I would call him to the bathroom and he would see the tap running and he would start to scream instantly. Like, that's when it would start from. I literally used to think, oh my God, because it was every bath time. And I would sit there and I'd think, my neighbours must think I'm murdering this little boy because that's how he would scream, okay? And you got to think, that's just the bath water running. He's not even in the bath yet. And he would scream like that. And I'd be trying to calm him down, and it just, nothing was working, nothing at all. So as I'm removing his clothes to put him in the bath, etc., he's still screaming even louder. Then I place him in the water, and the water against his skin melt down even more. And it was very, very, very hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it got to a point where I'd only bath him. I know this sounds terrible, but it weren't through choice. I'd only be able to bath him a couple times a week. That would be it, because that was what I was dealing with every bath time, without fail. It was that every single time. Bless him, his eyes would be streaming and his nose would be running and he'd be bright red, and I'd be like, oh my God, why is he like, what's wrong with him? Like, it was so sad. It was so sad, honestly. And I just kept thinking, I can't deal with this every bath time. Like, how can I do you know what I mean? What am I supposed to do? So then sometimes I would like do him a standing up wash. Do you know what I mean? So I'd like stand him on a towel and like soap up the flannel and like scrub him. So it looked like he was like in the bath, but he was soaped up standing up, and then I'd dry him with a towel and stuff, because I had to think of something. I could not have my child be clean. But this is what it used to be like. And I tell you what I used to do. I would think to myself, like, what can I do? What can I do to get through this? Because I can't keep doing this every single time. And I came up with like either singing to him a song that he knew or counting with him. The counting one was good. The counting one was really good. At the time he could count to 10, so I would count to 10, but then me and Dante worked with him to count to 20 during this time, when he wasn't having the bath time. So I had to think of solutions, you know what I mean? Because he had to have a bath. So I got it. So he'd start counting to 20. So he didn't know it all the way to 20. So he'll just copy me. And so I thought this was so good, Mum Share. I thought this was so good. So what I would do is he'd have his meltdowns before he got in the water. And then the moment I put him in, I would count from 1 to 20. And I'd be scrubbing him, because my thing was, by the time I get to 20, I'm going to get him out. Do you know what I mean? So I'd count 1, 2, 3, like at that pace, right? And I'm counting, I'm scrubbing him all over, right? Because I've got to wash you see his hair, I've got to wash all that hair as well. So I'm scrubbing him all over. And obviously his hair takes a bit longer, so I'm getting the pot ready to pour on his head. and I'm getting it all ready and stuff, right? Which another thing as well, he hated that as well, because obviously just the sensation of the water on his head as well was different feeling for him as well. So it was hard washing his hair at one point, but that's just what it was. So I'd make sure, and I'd get him to count with me. Mums always try and get the child to interact. If your child struggles with bath times as well, honestly, I swear to you, it's the best thing you'll do is get them to copy with you, do it with you, because then it becomes fun. Do you know what I mean? So we count, and I'll be scrubbing him, I'll be rinsing his hair quickly, washing his hair quickly, and then we'd be like 19, 20, all done. And as soon as I got to 20, I'd say all done with a nice upbeat voice. And he'd be like, all done. Like that, yeah, crying his eyes out. But he'd say, all done with me, because he knew he was getting out. Do you know what I mean? That's the only point in the beginning, when I started doing the counting, that he would answer me back, because he's in distress the whole time. And then when I'd say, all done, he'd be like, all done, copy me. And then I'd lift him straight out. So every bath time after that would be the same. He'd have the meltdown as the water was running. You know, he'd have to melt down as I was placing him in the water. And then as soon as I would count, there would become a time where he started to copy me counting, you know what I mean? And then it got to a point where, and then before you knew it, that was what was happening for a period of time. And because I'd get anxious every time I had to give him a bath, because I knew that the meltdown was coming. But with the counting, it was great, because he could interact with me. And he would, and it actually learned him to count to 20 as well, because I'd keep saying it over and over and it'd get in his head. And so we'd count, and I'd rinse in his hair quickly, and then when I'd say all done with my upbeat voice, he would then do that, all done. So it got to a point, mums, where it was like, it was disastrous in the beginning, and over a period of time, it took a while, but over a period of time, he would do it with me. And that's where you want to get to, that bit. And then I'd make sure, without fail, by the time I got to 20, he was out of that bath, because then he could trust me too. Do you understand? It's one of them ones as well. You want your child to understand that you're not trying to be whatever in a negative way towards them. Like, you're in this together to try and help them. And the moment I'd say 20, he'd expect to get out, and I would make sure he was finished and out by the time we got to number 20. And it really worked. And I'll tell you what else I'd do as well, was sing songs to him. Like, there's this song, I don't even know if it's called 5 Little Ducks. I just sing it. 5 little ducks went out one day, over the hills and far away. Mother duck said quack, 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 and only 4 little ducks came back. And you keep going down until you get to 0 ducks. But I would do it like 10 little ducks went out, so we could get it through the bath. So like I say, the counting one's a brilliant one, because eventually they join in, but you make sure by a certain number you get them out. That duck song really was good, because he started to know that song. I can't remember where I got that song from. I think he used to sing it at nursery, you know. I think his teachers done it with him at nursery, and I kind of stole it from them, because it did work, because he already knew the song. He already recognised it, so it worked, yeah. But I would just extend the number of ducks so I could get him in and out. So I think I went with the 10. And by the time I counted down, so I counted it slower than that. But by the time I got to 0 ducks, I took him out. So, you know, there are ways of doing things, Mum, yeah, to like get your child to a place of understanding and getting through that moment of whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? And that was my thing. My solution was thinking in my head, like, what can I do to get through this? Because I got, like I say, no one else is going to help me. I have to do this myself. I'm his parent, and I need to be hands-on, as I am, always have been, and I need to get the job done in the best way possible, in the most comfortable way for him. It's not about myself, it's about him in that moment. Yes, I was stressed out and that, but my concern was him. And we got to a place, look, and now bath times are nothing. Like, it's nothing. He goes and gets in the bath and he has a wash and he gets out. Do you know what I mean? I still find myself doing the counting thing with him and that sometimes, because although he doesn't care how long he stays in there now, I do still like to remind him of these things, because it was fun when we would do it. And now it won't be me counting. He'll count to 20. And then, you know, if I'm finished by that point, then we'll get out. And if I'm not finished, because now I don't have to rush anymore. Do you understand? Because now he's like 6. This was back when he was 3, 4. So now we're in a place where it was just like, whatever, it's bath time. In you get, and he gets in. We sort him out, and now we sing a few songs. So we'll count and we'll do the duck song, and he'll sing that loud as anything, echoing through the bathroom. Like, that's what I mean. It becomes, it gets to a point, like I say, Mum's, like, it's a struggle in the beginning, but when you get to that place, when you get there, it's the best place to be in, because now we'll sing 100 songs in the bath, and there's no rush for me now to get him out. He's used to it now, and these types of things. So, you know, it always does get better. Yeah, but honestly, the counting is brilliant, and what the other one said, the duck song, and any song that your child knows. Like Deshaun likes Twinkle Twinkle Little Star as well, so we could sing that. But I let him do it now while I'm washing him and that. I let him do his thing, and he does it. And so yeah, it's brilliant. A lot of children as well struggle with autistic children struggle with brushing their teeth. That's another one as well. Deshaun wouldn't mind me brushing his lower ones, but when we got to the top, I don't know why, he'd get really upset about that. So it's different things for different children, but that was before, whereas now he'll take the brush off me and do it himself. So what I find as well, mums, is if your child does struggle, just buy a spare toothbrush, buy a spare one, okay, and give it to them throughout the day and let them just play with it. Let that be the one that they play with. And, you know, while she's showing them what to do throughout the day while they're playing with it, and they will learn that way, and then it will become fun for them. Do you know what I mean? So when it does come to the serious side of actually going and brushing your teeth, they will go and do it without a doubt, because you've shown them how to do it with their playing toothbrush. Do you understand? So, yeah, I definitely think that that's a good idea. I thought about that one the other day. Is just buy them a spare one and let them have it throughout the day. Also show them how to use it, and they can just do it themselves while they're playing, you know, and when it comes down to getting the job done, it will be done, and you won't have an issue with it, because you've given them a spare one to do it with. So it's nothing new to them, is it? It becomes something that they know. So that's a good idea as well, mums. Buy a spare one if they struggle with teeth brushing. Dinner times, Deshaun from a baby. Now this is one that I do remember, because a lot I don't remember, because let's be honest, that was like 6 years ago. Like, it's a lot to remember, isn't it? When you're going through trying to find out the diagnosis for your child, they'll ask you 100 questions, and it's like they'll ask you stuff like, oh, what was Deshaun like as a baby? Did he make eye contact with you as a baby? Did he gargle and do all that stuff that babies do, that in baby sounds? Did he like what's the other one they said? They would say, did he try to play with stuff? Did he eat his dinner properly and stuff? And a lot of it I can't quite remember, but what I do know is that he didn't eat greatly. You know, when you take him to solid foods and stuff, he did struggle with that a little bit. I remember dinner times when he was like 1 and stuff like that, and he just wouldn't. He wouldn't. A lot of children as well like to smell, because it's their sensories, isn't it? Deshaun, now he's 6, he will smell his food first before he eats it. And if it's not a smell that he's familiar with or that he likes, he won't eat it. I'll give you an example of like his drink. So he'll just usually drink like orange or blackcurrant diluted juice, yeah? I buy cartons and cartons and bottles of, you know, fresh juice and stuff. And one day I brought a big carton of tropical juice, and I just thought, oh, let me try him with this, because this tastes lovely. Like, I love it. Dante loves it. Let me see if he'll like this one. So I got his drink cup and bottle thing, and put the tropical juice in it. And I remember I give it to him, and he looked at it, because he could tell it weren't the orange juice that he's used to yet. So he's looked at the bottle, he's seen it's like a tropical colour, so it's like a orangey colour, isn't it? And he's looked and he smelled it. Yeah, he smelled it, right? And he was like, the way he looked at me was jokes. And then he just placed it on the floor and he did not drink it. I swear to you. I remember thinking, like, for like over an hour, that bottle was sitting on the floor. He would not drink it, and he didn't drink it in the end. I think he was like sipping teeny bits and like tasting it because he's not used to it. And yeah, that didn't get drank. So these are the things I'm talking about. If it's not something that they recognise or know, then they won't have it. And he didn't, as a baby, greatly eat. A lot of the time he'd take ages, or he'd put it in his mouth, taste it and spit it back out. It would be dribbling everywhere. Like, so I do remember that. And it's the same when he's eating his dinner sometimes. Like, you know, it's a lot of the time we have to, like, I have to make him like a lot of the same stuff. And I don't want him to eat the same stuff all the time. I want him to eat different things. But he'll only eat what he recognises. And so at the time when he was being a fussy eater, it was very stressful because obviously you're making him a plate of food and it's just going in the bin. You know what I mean? But then he'll want crisps and stuff. You know what I mean? The stuff that he recognises. As I've said before, you know, when I went to his therapist a couple of years back, they'd tell me place a different item of food on his plate. Give him what he's used to eating, but place a different item on the side of the plate. And if he tries it, great. Then if he doesn't, just continue to do that until he tries it. And that has worked a few times, but it's what he wants to do in the moment, I guess, you know. And it got to a point where me, Dante and Deshaun would be sitting at the dinner table and he would literally be trying to talk to me and Dante. And I would say, Dante, just ignore him, okay? Again, I've told you about this ignoring thing that I say I do sometimes because I have to. And it does actually work sometimes, actually, with the eating. So I'd say, Dante, just don't talk to him. Don't look at him. The eye contact thing as well, mums. Don't make eye contact with him. Just sit and eat your food. So me and Dante would be completely silent. We'd be staring at each other, me and Dante would. And we'd be eating our food, silent. Deshaun's trying to talk to Dante. He's trying to talk to me. And we'd be just eating, because I'd think if he watches us just eating, he will copy us and eat his dinner. And so we'd just be ignoring him. And sometimes it'd work, sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes he'd be like, no dinner. Deshaun, no dinner. And push the plate away, or he'd go, yuck. Like, this is his new thing. I don't know where he's got that yuck from, but it's very annoying. Like, I swear. He's like, yuck. And he'll push the plate away. And but then a few of the times when we would ignore, you'd sit there and you'd watch him. We'd watch him from the corner of our eye, me and Dante. And he'd pick a bit up and he'd eat it. And then he'd pick another bit up and we'd be like, yes. Like that. So that one does work sometimes as well. And also as well, mums, maybe put them in a comfortable place where they want to sit. I've told you about the picnic blanket before. I have a blanket in my living room that I call a picnic blanket. I just place it on the floor and I put all of his items on it that he needs. Tablet, snack, drink, colouring book, whatever he's playing with at the moment. One of his teddies, put his cartoons on, and he's chilling on a picnic blanket, and that's where he sits and has his snack. Also, it saves your carpet and your rugs from getting ruined. Yeah, so it's just a big, massive square blanket that I've got, a red blanket that matches my living room. I place it on the floor. I put all this stuff on it. And yeah, if your child, he or she doesn't want to sit at the table and eat, put him on the picnic blanket. Right, do a picnic blanket like I do. You can go Wilko and grab one of them big, what are they called, like fleecy type blankets. They're only like $5. Grab one of them and just place it on the middle of the floor and just stick the child on it and put their dinner on it as well, and they can eat it like that. Sometimes if Deshaun doesn't want to sit at the kitchen table, or if he's struggling to eat his dinner that day, I'll say, okay, do you want to go on a picnic? You go picnic? And I'll go, yeah. And I'll put his dinner on the picnic and he'll sit there and eat it. And he actually eats it because it's another comfortable place for him. And I'll put his cartoon on and I think, right, it's not something that I want him to understand that that's what he's allowed to do every time he doesn't comply, but it does help in the moment. And then sometimes he want to come back to the table because that's where me and Dante are. So he wants to come back actually. So you set him up on a picnic blanket and then he'll be like, Mummy, dinner. And I'll be like, go on then. And then sometimes he'll want to come back to the table and then he does eat it. So it's like, it's whatever the child wants to do in the moment. Just go with the flow, mums, and do the best that you can. But just always have a solution. Always have one. You can't just go into this and just not know what you're going to do next. Always have something that you have a thought for yourself, you know what I mean? So I thought, oh, let me put him in front of the TV with the picnic blanket and he can eat his dinner, and then he'd sit and eat the whole thing. He'd be like, Mummy, finished, and he'd bring me the bowl. And I'd be like, oh, well done. And as I've told you before, I really hype it up for him. Well done, good boy. And it's done. And if that's what works in the moment, just do it. Obviously, you'd want to be eating together. But if that can't happen sometimes, it's okay as well. So the bedtime thing as well, as I've told you before, bedtimes wasn't always great. In the beginning, he wouldn't sleep through the night. You know, I've said before, mums, please don't put your child to bed with the TV on if your child's a child that doesn't sleep greatly, because that is not going to help. It's going to make it worse. So please, you know, turn it off. As I've said before, Deshaun's not scared of the dark. He's always been good with the dark, so I'm able just to put him in bed. I try not to make eye contact with him. I do not speak, and I just give him a big kiss, a big cuddle. I'd put him in bed and I'd shut the door and go. That's what it became after when I created the sleep routine that I remember speaking to you about in one of I think it was my first video I told you about it. And that's what I would do, to close the door and leave him to it, you know. Because in the beginning, as I say, he wouldn't sleep and stuff, and he'd be up literally all night long, and it's too much for an adult to not be able to sleep, especially when you're a single mum and you do it, and I do everything. Waking up tired because you've been up all night for weeks on end, months on end, yeah, a year it went, and we didn't sleep greatly, me and Dante, at all, because the shower would literally stay up all night. And then, as I've said in my past video, if you haven't watched that yet, that's why I'm relaying it over again, so that mums who haven't seen that first video, you know what I'm talking about. I went to his therapist, spoke about it, told him the situation, and she said blacked out curtains or blacked out blinds. You can get black blinds or blacked out curtains, which I bought, and it worked a treat. You know what I mean? Even if you can't afford those things, get a blanket and stick it at the window. Just stick it over your curtains, but it has to be a dark blanket. Stick it over the top and go to sleep. Do you know what I mean? But this is the thing, like, these things do work because the room is pitch black, so the child knows they have to stay asleep. In their mind, obviously, they stay asleep. Whereas if you've got curtains that the light comes through as soon as the sun comes up in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning, then they're going to wake up, aren't they? You know what I mean? So blacked out curtains and blacked out blinds all the way, mums. And I tell you what, that child will sleep. And the moment she said that, I bought blacked out curtains, and Deshaun slept through the night. And I couldn't believe I never thought of these things, but you don't think of them, do you? When someone else refers it to you, you think, oh yeah. And I did it and it worked. As I say, still till this day, he'll have moments where he wakes up super early, but my thing is, at least he sleeps through the night. You know what I mean? That's where you need your most sleep, is in the night time. So that is what I would suggest, mums. Please get those blacked out blinds or blacked out curtains if your child struggles to sleep, because that will do you the world of good. So my solution for the bath times is count with them, sing a familiar song with them. If you're going to count with them like myself, please get to a number that you get them out on that number, okay? As quickly as you can, you know what I mean? That would help them massively and make it fun. I remember those times with the bath times, I never put toys in the bath and stuff like that. My concern was getting him in and getting him out. You know what I mean? No playing with toys. You don't need no distractions. It's hard enough. You know what I mean? So in the bath, count, sing a familiar song, you know, get to a point where it stops and you get them straight out, and do this every single time. Okay? Upbeat voice, mums, yeah? The upbeat voice is very, very important. It really does work. I always use the upbeat voice with Deshaun, and he recognises that voice to a voice where, just say he's doing something that I don't really want him to do, and I put my mum voice on, which is a bit lower and stuff like that, which is a bit more firmer. You know, he understands the upbeat voice and he likes it. So the moment I use the upbeat voice, it works for him, and he then doesn't, he's not so distressed in that moment. Okay, so the upbeat voice is the one, trust me. So that's the solution for bath times. Again, spare toothbrush. If they struggle with brushing their teeth, buy one from just to play with all day. And, you know, when it comes down to it, hopefully they'll settle straight in because they recognise the toothbrush. You know, they recognise brushing. You know what I mean? Dinner times. If, you know, they struggle to sit at the table, or they struggle to eat that thing there, put them in a comfortable space where they can go to and they're familiar with, and they're happy to be in that placement. So as I say, I use the picnic blanket. Mums, please start using a picnic blanket. It's so good. It really does work as well. even just to have 5 minutes for yourself. You can sit them there, you can get on with your washing or whatever you're doing, okay? Picnic, I call it the picnic blanket. And the reason I call it that is just when you go to, when you go to a park, don't you? You take a blanket and you place it down and you put all your stuff on it. That's what came in my head. It's just a picnic. I called it a picnic blanket for that reason, because it's what you do when you go to a park. You put a blanket down, put all your food and whatever on it. So I call it the picnic blanket, and Deshaun recognises the picnic blanket. That's what he calls it, the picnic. So we call it the picnic, okay? So place them on a picnic blanket and, do what you need to do and place them with that, with a program that they're familiar with, that they like, and leave them to it and they will eat it, okay? Even if it means you want to remove yourself. I don't know where you eat your dinner. I like to sit on the table with the boys so I can interact with them. But if not, if Deshaun has a moment like that, sometimes we've all sat in the living room with him. We'll do whatever he needs to do to make him feel comfortable in that moment, okay? So these types of things do work. And a solution for bedtime is the dark curtains, the dark blinds, okay? And mums, it's the not speaking to them when you put them in bed. You don't need to do all that interacting. It's not what it's about. It's bedtime, okay? And they need to understand it's bedtime. Don't make any eye contact with them. Carry them up. Give them a tight hug, a kiss. Don't look at them though, and don't speak. Straight in bed and shut the door, okay? And if your child is one that keeps getting up out of bed, because thank God Deshaun doesn't, if your child is one of those that keeps getting up, do the same thing again. Place them back in the bed with no speaking, no eye contact, but don't keep kissing and cuddling. That was the first time. The next times after that, you just place them in bed, shut the door, place them in bed, shut the door, and it will eventually stop, okay? But you have to be firm in that moment, okay? So, yeah, that's it today, guys. So I think that will be super helpful, and I really hope that it is, because that's what I've done and it's worked for me, okay? So please like, please subscribe, please press the notification bell, and please continue to comment and share, because I love to hear you lot side of things, okay? And please continue to comment more on my videos, especially mums who I don't know, because it would be nice to get to know you all, okay? So that was my video today, bath times, dinner times and bedtimes, and I hope that it helps some of you out there, all right? So take care of yourselves. I love you guys so much, and I hope you're all okay, and I hope you have a positive day, all right? So take care, and I'll speak to you soon.